Hi everyone, welcome to this week's video. This week I thought we'd have a look at perennials that you can grow from seed as cut flowers. They are fantastic to have in your garden. They're going to come back year after year for you, which makes them really economical. Some of them will even flower in their first year if you get them going early enough from seed. And then in years to come, they'll just get more established, you'll get bigger plants, and you'll get more flowering stems from them. And 3 to 5 years down the line, you'll be able to divide their plants so that you'll get a few more new ones that are established from that. And then you can just keep growing as many perennials to cut from as you like. So having a bit of both in your garden, some annuals and some perennials, kind of covers your back. So you can have these perennials coming through from the start of May, and you can work on your annuals at the same time. And then this just gives you flowers all the way through your growing season. They complement each other, they can work really well together in bouquets. So what I thought would be really good is if we could kind of grow along together. You might be thinking about growing some perennials from seed this year. And late winter, early spring, like just now, is a good time to start. You can also do it in the late summer, early autumn as well. I'm going to sow my seeds and show you what I'm doing today. They all need slightly different things to get them started. Sometimes perennials can be a little bit tricky to get growing, so we're going to look at some of the methods that help out with that. And we're just going to follow them on through the next weeks and months as they germinate, get established into little seedlings, planting out, do they flower in their first year and things. So it's going to be really interesting to watch throughout the coming growing season. And if you don't catch the names as I'm talking about them going through, don't worry, I will have a little summary slide at the end which names the perennials that I'm growing in case you want to have a shot at growing along at the same time too. And if you've got any tips and tricks about growing these perennials, please do leave them in the comments section, because like I say, they can get a little bit tricky to get going. Some are easier than others, so any suggestions you have are fantastic. But let's go and get started just now. Let's go and get our seed compost ready in our trays, get it all damp, get our seeds all laid out, and then we'll get going. So to get these perennials started, we are just going to do what we always do, which is fill up our half seed trays here with some seed compost, and then I've popped them into a larger tray underneath that is full of water, about an inch or so of water. It just soaks up from underneath, makes this nice and damp, and then we'll be able to sow our seeds directly onto it. So the first perennial we're having a look at here is Achillea sneezewort, and it is fantastic little delicate white daisy-like flowers, and it's a perennial, so it'll come back year after year. You can divide large clumps in the springtime once it's well established. But we're going to see how long it takes to germinate and get established into a larger plant and flower this year. So this sneezewort Achillea likes to have a moist seed compost to be sown onto, and it likes light to germinate. So what we're going to do is we're going to sprinkle the seeds onto the seed compost, but we're not going to cover them. So here's the seeds here. They're quite small, but they should be easy enough to space out. So we're just going to sprinkle them over our seed compost, space them out as best we can, like that. And then we're just going to press them onto the damp compost with the back of my hand. We're not wanting to cover them over at all. So just like that. Then we're going to cover them with the humidity dome. The next one I've got here is Gypsophila baby's breath, and it's another perennial. So again, I grow Gypsophila Covent Garden, which is an annual variety, but this is a perennial, so it'll come back year after year for me. And just like the Achillea that we have had a look at, it likes light to germinate. So we're just going to be putting that onto the surface of the soil, pressing it in, and it suggests just a light covering of vermiculite over the top. So here's the seeds here, little black seeds this time. So we're going to pop them over here onto our seed compost. And again, just spacing them out as best as we can. You won't be able to see them there that easily because it is quite dark, the seeds against the seed compost, but we'll just spread them out as best we can. And then again, I'll use the back of my hand just to press them lightly into contact with that nice moist compost. It's suggesting a little bit of vermiculite over the top there. press it down lightly, and then a humidity dome can go over the top of that. This is a different kind of Achillea. This is called Cerise Queen, and it's common yarrow. Again, a hardy perennial, and just like the other Achillea that we have just on the sneeze wort, it likes light to germinate. So again, it's going to be exactly the same. The seeds look very similar. You just sprinkle them onto your moist seed compost, press them into the soil, and they don't need anything over the top of them. So you don't need any vermiculite, or you don't need any seed compost. They just need to be pressed onto the surface. So this is a Cerise Queen here, the little seeds that you can see. We'll space them out on our compost. There we go. Achillea seeds should germinate fairly quickly, definitely within a couple of weeks if we've got the conditions right. About 18 to 20 degrees I'll have my heated propagating bed on at. So the next perennial we're going to have a look at is something that I find very difficult to get to germinate. So we're going to work on this together and see what happens over the next few weeks or even into months. So this is Astrantia, and I've got a few different varieties here. It sells seeds very easily in your garden actually. I've got lots of Astrantia already that have grown up over the years, some from seed, some from perennial plants that I've bought in. And at the end of the season, if you don't cut the flowering stems down, they will go to seed. So you can collect your own if you would like to try sowing, or you can buy in some seeds, which I've done here. So I've got a few different varieties. I've got Rose Symphony, Prima Donna, and Hadspin Blood for some different colours there. Now, Astrantia, you can start the seeds off on your seed compost, and you might find nothing's happened after a few weeks. And when you do that, you've had them on the nice warm heated propagating bench. You then want to take them off that and cold stratify them for a few weeks before putting them back into the warmth. So they like that period of alternating between warmth and cold and then warmth again, and that can often break the dormancy of the seed and get them germinating for you. So one of the things you can actually do is you can try sowing your seeds in the autumn when it's still relatively warm. The temperatures then go cold. That will then give them that period of cold that they need, and then come the springtime when it warms up again, that breaks the dormancy and away they go for you. And I know this has happened to me in the past. That's how I have done it at times. I've sown the seeds in the autumn, thought, oh, nothing's happening. I've popped the seed tray aside in the greenhouse, left it be over the winter time, and come the spring, you suddenly start to get some seedlings coming up. So let's have a look at some of these seeds then. So this is the Astrantia seeds here. So you don't get so many in a packet, so we're going to be hoping for some good germination. So I've already got my nice seed compost, nice and moist here. And because they're bigger seeds, you'll be able to just space them out a little bit more easily. So I'm going to pop them on there. What you can do as well is you can pop the seeds in the fridge for a couple of weeks before you sow them. So give them a little bit of period of cold before you put them onto your heated propagating bench for a bit of warmth. And then if you do need to cold stratify them again a few weeks later, you can do. So let's get these covered with just a thin layer of vermiculite. The next ones I've got are eucalyptus, and I've got silver dollar and baby blue here, and we're going to try growing these again. I lost my eucalyptus trees in the garden due to the very cold weather a year ago, so I wanted to try growing some more from seed. I've managed to do this successfully in the past, and this time I'm going to grow them in pots, I think, so that I can move them around in the winter time and not just leave them out in the elements if we get a really bad winter again, because it's such useful foliage in flower arranging. And these again are like the Astrantia. They may need a period of cold stratification, so start them off warm on your heated propagating bench, and then if there's no germination in 2-3 weeks time, take them off and give them a few weeks outside in the cold, or just take them off and put them in a cold area in your greenhouse. So these are the small silver dollar eucalyptus seeds here. So they're not too small that I can't space them out. I should manage that fairly easily. They like to be surface sown, so again, I won't need to put anything over at the top of them. I'm just going to space them out. And you can grow eucalyptus in pots. It doesn't need to be in a seed tray. They don't really like root disturbance, so you'll have to be careful when transplanting them later on. So this next one is Eryngium silver glitter, and I love these. Got blue glitter as well to sow, and they are fantastic flowers in the garden for flower arranging, but a little bit erratic to get germinating from seeds. So we're going to see how we get on. They like cold stratification, so a good idea is to pop it in the fridge for a few weeks before you sow the seeds. You can also cold stratify them straight away, so this is quite a good time for me to do it just now because we're coming not quite up to springtime yet, so it's not warmed up at all. It's going to be -2 again tonight. It's going to be nice and cold, so here out in the greenhouse it's absolutely fine to leave the seed tray out. That will be doing the seeds a power of good. It'll help them to germinate, and then that difference between the warmth in the day and the cold nights will help to get them going. So let's see how we get on. Here's the Eryngium seeds here. So they're quite large again, quite easy to space out. So we've got some nice moist seed compost, and we're just going to place our seeds on it. Need to space that one out a little bit more over there in a minute. I normally space them out. If I've got them bunched up a bit too close, then I'll space them out a little bit like that. These like to be covered with just a thin layer of soil, so we'll do that just now. And just press down so that they've got contact with that nice moist compost. Get them labelled. So I've just got my humidity domes here. I'm going to pop them over the seeds that we have started today. So I'm expecting the Gypsophila and the Achillea to germinate pretty quickly, but I'm expecting the Astrantia and the Eryngium to be a little bit more slow. So